Our story begins, my dear, with a woman holding a baby in her arms on an island full of zombies and corpses. And the shock is not here. The shock is that this child is not supposed to exist at all because his mother was a zombie and his father is a dead man. As for the girl holding him, just hours ago she discovered that her husband, whom she traveled a very long distance to find, was cheating on her before he died. So how did she get here? And how was this child born from a dead mother? And most importantly, what is the secret that made some of the dead come back to life while the rest remained corpses? To find the answers to these questions, we need to go back to the beginning of the disaster that turned an entire island into an open hell. At the beginning, a disaster occurs that destroys an entire island due to experiments with new nuclear weapons. And the government asked for volunteers to help collect and bury the bodies. Among the volunteers is Eva because her husband was on the island at the time of the disaster. As soon as they arrive, everyone is asked to hand over their phones until the mission is complete. After that, the officer gathers the volunteers and informs them that some of the dead have come back to life and turned into zombies. Therefore, they must report anything they see so the soldiers can take action. The news here shocks Eva and she starts thinking about her husband, wondering if Chan has also turned into this terrifying form. One of the volunteers asks why not all the dead have turned, but the officer refuses to answer and orders them to report immediately if they see any zombies. This causes Eva to break down because she imagines her husband being trapped by the soldiers. After that, they begin collecting the bodies and the scenes are very painful. It means young and old. They were dead and bodies were everywhere. A number of volunteers withdrew because they couldn't bear the sight, so Ava works with a volunteer named Clay. While moving the bodies, they started talking about the zombies. And Clay says they are unlucky because they died twice. Every time Ava sees a body, she remembers her husband and the love story that was between them. Days pass as they transport dozens, even hundreds of bodies without seeing any zombies. They start to believe it's just rumors. But suddenly, Eva sees a zombie covered in oil standing and staring at her with terrifying eyes. Fear paralyzes her in play. Clay informs the soldiers who quickly come and take it down. But Ava feels sad for him because in her view, this poor thing died twice. At night, Clay keeps talking to her and tries to comfort her, but she tells him that the zombie seems scared, as if it were a lost human, while he sees the zombie as just something disgusting. This difference causes tension between them, so she leaves him and walks away. Even in her dreams, she keeps seeing the zombie. But despite her mental exhaustion, she continued searching for her husband. On the second day, she and Clay entered a hall where a party was held before the explosion, now filled with corpses. While they were working, she heard a strange sound, so she went to investigate and was shocked to find a little girl turned into a zombie, grinding her teeth in a frightening way. And fear freezes her in place until Clay comes and pulls her away before they are attacked. After that, another zombie appears and approaches them, but the soldiers kill it easily and complete the mission. At the end of the day, Clay complains of pain in his shoulder, so Eva helps him since her job is a physical therapist. And during the conversation between them, she tells him that her husband works in the energy sector and was attending a business meeting on the island at the time of the disaster. After that, she asks him about a tattoo on his body, but his expression changes and he refuses to talk about it. And here, a zombie stronger than the others breaks into the place and starts destroying everything around it, but the soldiers come in and take it down. Then one of the soldiers tells them that the longer the zombies are around, the more violent and stronger they become. When they find out why they are in a restricted area, Eva explains and says that she is looking for her husband, so they allow them to stay on the condition of obtaining official approval. So here, Clay goes to get it and leaves Eva waiting. But after a few hours, the soldier returns alone and tells her that Clay ran away and left her because he was afraid of punishment. And since he abandoned her, he decided to help her to get out of the place safely. The soldier agrees to help Eva, but conditions that if she finds her husband and he has become a zombie, she must hand him over immediately. She has no other choice but to agree, so he takes her to his house so she can sleep there. And at night, he offers her food, but she remains cautious and doesn't eat at all. He tells her if the hunger was strong, she would have eaten no matter the circumstances. He starts talking to her about his life and says that his father was a soldier like him. Ava notices a picture of him with his wife. From there, his expression changes and sadness prevails. He confesses to her and says, "My wife was pregnant and only had 2 weeks left until her due date, but she went to visit her family on the island on the same day of the explosion, and she died with them." Bei's dir? And when he arrived at her family's house, he found them all as corpses at the dining table, including his wife. He was speaking while breaking down, saying that he personally buried her next to the swing she loved since she was a child. Eva is moved and apologizes to him for bringing back painful memories, but he tells her that he never forgot her in the first place because he wants to remember her. After that, he makes a very strange request and tells her, "I want you to take my place tonight. My wife, either you wear her clothes and put on her perfume and we dance one last dance so I feel like I have said goodbye to her." Eva is shocked by the request and feels that he is a sick and abnormal person, but she is afraid he might harm her. In the end, she agrees to his request, but takes precautions and hides a knife under the pillow to defend herself if he tries to do anything to her. When he enters and sees her like this, he feels as if his wife has returned, and he starts dancing with her, emotionally affected, while she remembers her husband and her sadness deepens. And suddenly he notices that she is not wearing his wife's ring, so he asks her to wear it, but she refuses and tells him, "Enough, you need to understand that I am not your wife, and even if I wear her clothes, I will not be your wife nor take her place." But he insists in a frightening way, and here she loses her temper, hits him on the head and escapes, quickly locking the door behind her. While hiding, she is shocked when she sees his wife's corpse on the bed, and we learn that he lied to her and didn't actually bury her. He starts speaking from behind the door, telling her that some of the dead, if they come back to life, have unfinished business. For example, my wife came back to life because she wished to become a mother. And we understand that his wife turned into a zombie and he is convinced that their son is still alive and he was waiting for her to come back to life naturally. Eva notices the candles and symbols all over the room and understands that this person is mentally disturbed and was trying to perform rituals to transfer his wife's soul into her body specifically. She decided to escape immediately and climb out the window without him seeing her, trying to get the car key. But he notices her, so she quickly runs away and hides in a room full of old stuff. And from there, she discovers a large group of zombies that are tied up and that he has kept for a long time. So she realizes the extent of his madness and the danger he poses, and she knows that it is impossible for her to survive if she stays hidden here. So she thought of an alternative plan and decided to exploit his obsession and deceive him that his ritual succeeded. So she takes off her ring and starts talking to him as if she is his wife, asking him about their wedding ring. At this point, he believes her and his eyes shine with joy. He approaches her, convinced that his wife has returned, but at the same moment, he sees the real zombie of his wife and realizes that Eva is trying to trick him. Before he attacks her, she pulls out a knife and kills him immediately. Then she takes the key and escapes in his car, and during her escape, she sees his wife infected by the zombie, and she starts looking at her with a terrifying gaze, but she composes herself and leaves the cursed house. She keeps driving the car all night until morning comes, and she finds herself on a dead-end road because of a large truck parked in the middle. The quietness of the place is very strange and worrying, so she gets out. With caution and a weapon in her hands, she explores the place. As she is walking, a zombie appears behind her without her noticing and it starts running towards her. She gets scared and drops the weapon. She comes face to face with him and tries to escape, but he quickly follows her. When he gets close, she hits him on the head and he suddenly stops and doesn't move at all. She thought he was dead. But after a few moments, he jumps up and screams at her, so she gets scared and hits him again in anger, finishing him off completely. And after all the psychological pressure, her nerves collapse and she continues on her way, injured and exhausted, but she only thought of one thing, which is finding her husband. At night, she hears a strange sound and follows its source until she discovers an old zombie man digging in the ground. At first, she thinks he is going to attack her, but he completely ignores her and continues his work. She starts observing him and understands that he is digging a grave for his wife. After she helps him bury her, he turns to her with a look of gratitude and pride. Then he lowers himself into the grave next to his wife as if asking her to bury him with her. Despite the difficulty of the situation, she decided to fulfill his wish and deliver a fatal blow. After that, she covered the grave with soil and continued her journey alone on the island. Now, we see her searching for her husband everywhere, leaving no place unexplored in her quest to find him. The next day, Eva continues her search for her husband until she reaches the hotel where Chan was staying before the disaster. There, she passes by a yoga area and sees the yoga instructor turned into a zombie. But after everything she's seen, this sight no longer scares her at all, so she ignores him and continues on her way. And after a long journey, she finally reaches the room where her husband is, and she is shocked to see his decomposed body, but the bigger shock is when she discovers the body body of a woman. A second with him in the same room, she realizes that her husband was cheating on her before he died. She collapses and sits by his corpse, crying bitterly. Despite the betrayal, she couldn't hate him and wished he had turned into a zombie so she could talk to him one last time and ask for his forgiveness. And while she is in a state of collapse, Clay appears again. When she sees him, she is happy because having someone she knows in these circumstances might ease some things for her. So they go together to the beach to calm her nerves, and there she confesses to him a secret she was. She hid it for years and told him that her relationship with her husband was tense because of her desire to have children through artificial insemination, but he always refused because he didn't accept the idea. Due to the many problems between them, one day she weakened and cheated on him, so she wanted to tell him before he died, and she wanted to ask for his forgiveness. After that, Clay decided to open his heart to her and tell her about the tattoo on his body, and he discovered that the picture is of his wife who hated him, and she even made their daughter hate him too. That's why he came to the island as a volunteer, hoping to prove to them that he is a good person, and maybe they would change their view of him, but nothing changed, and they continued to reject him just like before. Eva felt sympathy for him, and from that moment, a true friendship formed between them in a devastated world full of corpses and only a handful of living people. After that, he helps her bury her husband, and they decided to leave the island permanently and look for a safe path or a safe place to live forever. And on their way, they encounter a strange zombie. Eva notices that it is not just any zombie, but the wife of the deranged man who tried to use her in his terrifying rituals to transfer his soul into this girl. Stranger still, she was pregnant with a child, and it was clear that she had given birth recently. Eva is puzzled and starts to wonder where this child went. And suddenly she hears the sound of a baby crying nearby, so she quickly runs towards the sound until she finds the baby alive and well. She is shocked because the crazy man's words turned out to be true and that his son is indeed alive. And after she holds the child in her arms, she feels for the first time the maternal feelings she had dreamed of for many years as she hugs him and reassures herself that he is now safe. From this moment, she decided to close the chapter of the past forever and start a new life with the child and Clay, who completely changed her destiny.